Well, the spoils of my last battle finally arrive. How do those Highlander clothes fit on you, little white robe? Now every day you see the delicate body of a Vek, shrouded in the furs and leathers of a Highlander warrior. Not too hard on the eyes, I say. Not bad at all. Would it be an offense if I asked you to do a little twirl for me? Well, I would say I'm above it, but believe it or not, I actually have some class. But I'm still a barbarian, and your little Vek eyes. So it wouldn't be a surprise if I acted like the savage your people believe we are. But not all of us can, or want to be like you, elegant magic folk. Too many rules, and not enough freedom if your leaders had their way. And our kind aren't one to be told how to live by someone who only craves power, for the sake of power. This land, it's our birthright. Not your little magic discovery project. I believe what nature yields is not our place to try and pervert, to imitate your little seven divines. You may think me ignorant of your people's ways, but that's kind of hypocrisy coming from a mage who has never even set foot in Alheim. And now you belong to a Highlander, who could have just as easily cut you down as an adversary in battle. Tell me, if you're so smart, why didn't I kill you like I should have in your mind? If I'm some merciless feral Northman, why didn't I just cut you down in that wicker basket where you tried to hide? Ah, so you don't know. Then think before you try to smart off, little Vek. I'll enlighten you then. You see, the Highlander people of Alheim have a code we live by. Not rules, but a code of conduct that keeps our honor and dignity as a warrior people. One of these say, we aren't allowed to cut down an adversary who's admitted surrender in any way. There's no honor in killing the defenseless. Only those who pose an actual threat. So when you lost your book, your only means of fighting back, and you hid in a basket, you didn't declare surrender, but your actions rendered me the victor of the fight. And there's no use to continue a battle if I was already the clear winner in both of our minds. So further death wasn't needed. But those other white robes with you who slung spells of fire, ice, and other chaotic magics at us into the bitter end of our blade, now that calls for more bloodshed. In the event it ever comes down to us or them, we're trained to make sure it's them. So we fight with such barbaric vigor, and live as tribes of battle-hardened fighters, because that's how we survive things like our current conflict with you and the Asadi. True honed skill beats narrowed talent every time. Perhaps talent with a blade would be handy with you and your mage brethren in the future. So yes, we are rough and proud people, but we're far from mindless savages. And that's why you're still alive, well fed, and not rotting in a cell as a prisoner of war. Each human life has worth, no matter how small or big, old or young, wise or ignorant. So since taking your life was unnecessary for my own survival, alive you still are. And while you're here under my banner, you'd be wise to remember that, lest you do something rash and end up getting your pretty little head cleaved off your cute little white robe shoulders. Do we have an understanding, mage? Perfect. Then you may just survive to see the end of the Tri-Banner conflict. Who knows? You may learn a lot from walking the footsteps of a stranger. Maybe, if that was the way of the world, we wouldn't have this conflict to begin with. Perhaps we will see peace once again. But until then, we fight. Now, my servant, I have one last question. With all that you've learned of my people, what would you do if I gave you a blade while I was unarmed? Well, you are my servant. We'll need to be a level of trust between us going forward. You're in my camp, surrounded by well-trained fighters, and without a spell book. So keep that in mind as I give you your first job as my servant. Here, take this small blade. I require a haircut. I see that the vet keep themselves well groomed. I ask that you use that blade to cut my hair. And I'm trusting that you won't use it to dash my throat as I lay unarmed at your mercy, as you did when I caught you. Do we have a deal? Then let us begin. But don't try to cut my beard, or I'll cut your arm. I consider that self-defense. See? We can laugh together, can't we? Why can't we all have that kind of harmony? All of this talk of white robes has me thinking about the good old days. I wrote so many books. And if I would have done some things differently, I wouldn't be teaching classes and I'd probably be a magister somewhere. Anyway, you should get to class. I'll be seeing you around.